Welcome back to another live stream. Hey everyone, how you guys doing? I hope you're all doing great. As usual, before we start, let's make sure that everything is doing okay. Make sure that the audio is fine. You guys can hear my voice. There's no distortion or echo, any other problem. Or am I even speaking? Can you even hear me, right? And the video feed, if there's any issue, let me know right from the start so I can fix the audio and video, right? While I'm waiting for some feedback, let me drink some coffee. Coffee first, always. I see a lot of people are in the chat already. All right. Thanks, Woofy. Calling me Bobbin. Just wait for one or two more people. All right, I guess everything is fine. All right, thanks for letting me know. As usual, I'll say hi to people first before we start the stream. Just the normal pleasantries, right? And if you're a member, I'll read your chat first. Your name is highlighted in green. There's a star badge and that's to your name. If you're a non-member, don't worry, I'll get to every single one. You just have to wait a little bit, all right? Wolfie says, hey Robin and fellow shuttle snappers. Hey Wolfie, very good to see you again. Jetech says, good day everyone. Hey Jetech, welcome to the stream. You guys are talking to each other, no worries. Gregory, hi. Good to see you again. Gregory says, drag out of bed again. Must be really early for you, Gregory. But Robin, you are worth it. Thank you so much. That's really kind of you. And hello everyone from rain-soaked Katy, Texas. All right. Uvi says, good morning from Dan Gregory. Robin's videos and streams are always worth it. Oh, you guys are so kind. Zach says, hello, I'm Rowan Capture. Hello, Rowan Capture. My name changed because I'm trying to fix a view problem caused by a lot of factors that I did with this channel. I'll have a new channel up soon for my new uploads. That's amazing. Looking forward to seeing your channel, Rowan Capture, or shall I call you Zach G? J-Tech says, Eric, you're gonna leave something for the Mark II, brother. You guys are talking to each other, no worries. Let's see. Wolfie says, audio is good. Thanks for the update. Thanks, J-Tech. Gregory says, you two eliminated handles some time ago. Might actually change from the underscore, which is my Google username. Might have omitted the underscore. All right. Hey Andrew, how are you? Andrew says, hey, good day to you, Robin. Video and audio okay. Let's talk about the chunky camera. Before we do that, I saw that you went to Azul's photo walk last Saturday. I think you went to the morning session, the Merdeka 118 walk. And you went to the exhibition already, I assume, in the building. How is it? I have not. Surprise, surprise. Although Azul is a friend, but I've been so busy lately. Oh my goodness. So I hope you had a good time with Azul and everyone during the walk. Coffee, a good idea, of course. Hey Chris, how are you? Chris says, hello Robin and all. Good sound and vision. Thank you so much. Gregory says, audio and video okay. Anytime before noon is too early. You guys know each other, right? Wolfie says, I don't know why I'm the 294th Wolfie OV, but that's what Google considers me, and so be it. It's just a number, Wolfie. We all know who you are. Rob says, hi all. Hey Rob. Thanks for joining the stream. Squid Out says, Robin, hello everyone from Orlando, Florida. I've returned with a new Micro Four Thirds camera. I'm going to liquidate some of my Pentax gear. I'm back. Well, welcome back to being a Micro Four Thirds awesome user. Eric says it's so chunky and lacking image stabilization that I cancelled my pre-order. Oh, that's too bad. Hey, about the Panasonic L10. We'll talk about it very, very, very soon. Scott says, Robin is one of the most honest and friendly photographer YouTuber. Such a great guy. Thank you so much, Squidart. Really appreciate that. Vibagamuka, how are you? Very good to see you. Good evening, Robin. Good evening to you too. Scott says, you sound great, Robin. Thank you so much. Eric says, sounds great. Thank you. Thanks, Vibagamuka. I appreciate that. Jagaimo says, I can hear you clearly. Thank you so much. Crit next says, where to buy the mug? Oh, this is a generic Canon L-lens mug. I bought it from like something like an Amazon here in Malaysia. We don't have Amazon, but it's like an online store. You can buy stuff. This is like made in China. It's obviously not really an original product. So yeah, I'm sure you can find it on Amazon or any of the online stores at your country. Astrom says, good afternoon from Iceland. Everything works great. Thank you so much, Astrom. Nice to see you here. All right, let's see. Linda says, hi Robin. I'm not late for once. Yes, welcome to the stream, Linda. Very good to see you again. Yeah, you guys are talking to each other. No worries. Andrew says, I went to Azul and Grace under the shadows of Merdeka for the walk. Love it. And yeah, how's the exhibition? It was great. That's awesome. They told me that they have some new photos as well compared to the ones that they exhibited last year. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. Oddball says, hello from grey and wet Northern Ireland. Hey, how are you? Dina says, oh, you guys are talking shit. No worries. All right, gonna give you guys some updates on what's been happening in my life, and then we'll dive right into the topic, right, which is pretty exciting. Panasonic L10, which I'm calling really, really chunky. All right, earlier this week on Monday, I released a new video. It was sort of like a POV street photography video, and the topic was very simple. I shot everything in JPEG, and I said that, hey, you know what? I really love Olympus JPEG. I think it's really awesome. Because people have this idea that I can only work with RAW, and they have this misconception that I overly process my images to look the way they do. And people keep asking me, Robin, show us your post-processing steps. Robin, please share with us how you edit your photographs. Well, I did that already multiple times during this live stream, and it's gonna be pretty disappointing because I do very minimal processing to my images. They are almost as if they were straight out of camera, might as well. And I proved that in the video last Monday. I did a POV video. You can see what's on my screen and the images that shown after that. They were exactly the same. The colors were straight out of the camera. And I thought Olympus, they have some of the best JPEG engines out there, if not the best. If you haven't seen the video on Monday, I also shared some tips on how to get the best JPEG out of your camera. Do check it out. It's already out on Monday, all right? Let's see. I was busy last weekend, both Saturday and Sunday. I had a job. Andrew, if you are still here, the reason why I didn't join Azul's photo walk, Azul and Grace event, was because I had to shoot from morning 10 o'clock until 6 o'clock, both Saturday and Sunday. So there was a mini festival happening at Pat Peng. Pat Peng is a very old building in Petaling Street, downtown in Kuala Lumpur. It's almost like half abandoned. It's quite a rundown building already, but a group of artistic people, the community, came together and sort of like took over the building, the first and second floor, for 2 days, and created like a mini festival in conjunction to the KL festival. And there was like, they made it into an arcade, right? There's a game room, you can play mahjong in it. There is a karaoke room. Then there is they have a lot of like workshops and classes happening and talks as well, talking about history of Kuala Lumpur. They have exhibitions of things happening around. There were 10 things happening at the same time. I had such a great fun shooting this mini festival at Pat Peng, both Saturday and Sunday, and obviously, I'm going to share some photographs from this particular session later, don't worry. Yeah, that's what I've been really, really busy with in the last weekend. Both my Saturday and Sunday were gone. I think some people forget that I am a working photographer. I do shoot jobs for a living. Hello, I'm not a full-time YouTuber like Emily from Microphone Nerds, right? She can dedicate 100% of her time doing just YouTube videos. For me, I can't. I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket, right? I do take jobs and I'm busy shooting. I don't spend all my time making YouTube. That's like, I wish I can, but I can't, right? So yeah, that was last weekend, and this coming weekend, I'll be away from Kuala Lumpur as well. This coming weekend, there is an OM Systems event. Oh, it's not here. Okay, that's interesting. Let me see if I can pull out the poster. It is not here. I gotta go to the browser. Gotta go to YL camera. Why is it not here? Let me see. Give me a moment, guys. I gotta pull up the photograph that I actually downloaded. Let's see. Let me see if I can do it here. I think I can. I found the poster already. All right. So let me see if I can show the window screen. Yeah, this is the poster. All right. Yeah, there's a bird photography outing this coming weekend, Saturday and Sunday. It's at Fraser's Hill. I was at Fraser's Hill last year for the International Bird Race, but this time this was not the International Bird Race. This was a private event organized by OM System Malaysia together with YL Camera, and I'm going as a guest. I'm not going to do anything crazy there. The photographer or the OM system ambassador who's going to lead this particular outing is Richard Chong. Richard is a friend. I'm looking forward to catching up with Richard and seeing everyone else, all the other OM system community here in Malaysia. So this will be quite a fun outing. I look forward to going up to Fraser's Hill. It's going to be a little bit cooler, the temperature up there compared to what we have here in Kuala Lumpur. Is so hot. My room is 29 degrees now. It is so hot. So I look forward to get away from this heat and get some chilly air up at Fraser's Hill. So that will be this coming weekend. All right. Let me just put this away, rearrange my windows. Where is that? Okay. There we are. And pretty much that's it. Those are the updates that's been happening in my life, things that I will do. So I was working last Saturday and Sunday. I'll share my photographs with you later. And this particular weekend, I'll be going away to Fraser's Hill, join the OM System Malaysia's event. All right, let's get to the chat. Read a few more chats, and then we'll start with the discussion on the chonky Panasonic L10. Uvi says, I'm not a current Micro Four Thirds user, but someday I will come back to owning and using one, but need the funds and a good reason to use one instead of the Nikon Z6. No worries. And to me, I don't really care what camera you use as long as you have one and as long as you enjoy photography, and that's what we're all about, right? I always say that gear is not the most important thing. As long as you have a camera, you can enjoy shooting, and that's, to me, that matters more, right? It's you and your craft. Garrett says, in our camera store, we had a Canon 50 lens as an ashtray, and it was a long time ago. That's amazing. Jeffrey says, hi Ravin, hi gang. Kansas is green, cool temperature and rainy plus tornadoes. Oh dear, tornado. I hope that's not too disastrous. Sounds violent though. Gary says, Malaysia overprocesses reality to make images look like that. Really? You think so? Our lighting is different from the lighting that you have. But I always thought that because we are so close to the equator, right? So the sunlight hits us straight on, like perpendicular, and we have very harsh and flat lighting compared to places like Japan or Australia or any other parts of the world where the sun actually hits you at an angle, at the direction, right? So it's more directional side light. So it's actually nicer. You have like a side lighting throughout the entire day, which is pretty nice, right? Andrew says, no offense to Panasonic, I think the L10 launch is great, but I'm just gonna say it's an LX100 that just gained weight. My goodness, not in a good way, right? Like, I mean, if you gain muscle, it's actually pretty good, right? So this is not the healthy weight that you gained, unfortunately. Andrew says, I get that Panasonic wants to get a head-to-head with Fuji X100, but no need to match by size. Yeah, I agree. And what defines Micro Four Thirds is not by the size, right? It's because we can make the cameras small, and yet they can give us phenomenal results. And that's what we want with our Micro Four Thirds system. Gregor says, really Panasonic, I carry my GM1 as daily carry. We'll buy an updated replacement in a heartbeat, even if it's made by OM Digital Solutions. Yeah, I think we all have like a special love for the small cameras, the really small cameras, like even the Pen series, EPL series, Pen Light from Olympus, right? EPL7, EPL8, from Panasonic, like GS series or GF series. I know the GM is really tiny. We don't have to go that small, but we don't have to make the cameras that chunky as well, right? Jeffrey says, I've appreciated your JPEG insights for the years. As a working photographer, many events require JPEGs or RAW plus JPEG. I also shoot Sony, and OM has best consistent color JPEGs since forever. I agree. And yeah, the reason why I shoot a lot of JPEG is because I actually shoot for events, as you have mentioned, and sometimes the clients require immediate delivery. You don't have time to load your RAW photographs into a computer and load it into your post-processing software and take your time to adjust the sliders and load into like a denoise software, and like you don't have that luxury. You just have to deliver the shots as they are. And if the camera is good enough, you should be confident that the JPEG out of the camera will be good enough. You don't need to do additional work, on post-processing, all right? If it is not, then maybe you should consider getting a better camera. All right, Wolfie says, I'm not personally interested in the Panasonic L10 camera, but to me, it shows that Panasonic can put a 25 megapixels sensor in a small one, the S5 G9 Mark II body, so it's proof of concept for GX9 Mark II. Yeah, definitely. I hope in the future we do get not just a 25 megapixel sensor, but newer sensors with high resolution count, right? And hopefully better image quality, better dynamic range, and high ISO as well. JTech says, Greg, I just bought my first 2 Micro Four Thirds camera, OM5 Mark II and GM1 with a 20 Lumix. Both excellent cameras. Zach says, or Roy in Capture says, would you recommend an Olympus 17 f2.8? I need a wide lens that's cheap. Also considering 14 to 42 because being able to zoom would be nice, but the narrow aperture is a bit of a setback. I don't think the 17 f2.8 is an excellent lens. It was the first Micro Four Thirds lens, so it was on the slower side of autofocus. And in terms of image quality, there's nothing to shout about. If you have the newer 14 to 42, not the first generation, but the newer one, I will definitely go for the 14 to 42. It's a more versatile lens. Yeah. Andrew says, though I still give credit to Panasonic for the LUTs face detect on L10 in line with their current DNA. Yeah, but then no image stabilization though. And that DNA is more important than LUTs or face detect autofocus, if you ask me. Wolfie says, on a per camera comparison, I think the size and weight is a good compromise to a Fuji X100 because it has a 2470 f1.7 to f2.8 zoom. I do wish it had weather sealing to match the X100. Was it 2470 or 2475? Panasonic L10 lens. I thought it was 2475, right? Yeah, so 2475, not 2470. But it's an old lens though. It's the same lens that was used in the old LX100 Mark I. They didn't change the lens. And to be entirely honest, it's quite a crappy lens. I can't imagine myself using that lens and be happy with the images I get from the camera. The reason why I sold for the LX100 the first time was because I was really unhappy with the lens. And the reason why I can't sell this LX100 the second time I got it was because it died on me. There's a lens error. Well, actually I did. I sold off this camera to a guy. He paid in full, right? And then a few hours later, we met in person. He tested the camera. He was satisfied with it. He paid me. And then a few hours later, he contacted me and said, hey, you know, there's something wrong with the lens. There's an error. So I met him up the day after, and I saw that there was a problem with the lens, and I just accepted. I took back the camera. I gave him the full refund. I mean, like, yeah, things like this happen, and I don't have the time to get this camera fixed. I don't know if I'm going to get it fixed or not. But yeah, I have a bricked LX100 because of the crappy 2475, which is very problematic and has very high chance of error. People who use LX100 would know this, right? You can just go to the forum, the 2475 lens. Okay, first, it sucks in dust. Right, I think this is a known problem. Secondly, it's very soft, very poor contrast, not a very good lens to work with to begin with, right? And third, it's very high chance of failure, the error thing with the camera, whatever. So having that 2475 f1.7 f2.8 zoom doesn't really inspire confidence. I'd rather take the Fuji X100's fixed 35 equivalent lens in this particular situation. Andrew says, though the price tag of a USD $14.99 is a bit hard to sort. Yeah, the price is kind of high, right? Gary says, yes, it was while being outside with no shadows. Malaysia is very colorful and very bright at all times. Yeah, like, you know, like a lot of those typical street photography shots with long shadows or harsh shadows, kind of like, you know, shots of highlight and shadow kind of thing. It's not that easy to do it here in Malaysia. That's why I don't have a lot of those kind of shots. Yeah, Wolfie says, I have a feeling size and thickness of the Panasonic L10 is a current limitation of the processor and hardware needed to support. Now, the face detection is only on the sensor, right? It's nothing to do with the processor. In the future, they could make it smaller with R&D. Yeah, Andrew says, I can accept the L10 size if it's full frame or APS-C, but for Micro Four Thirds, it's like putting one peanut inside a giant bowl. That's what I feel. Yeah, and the fact that the S9 has a full frame sensor with 5-axis image stabilization and about the same size versus the Panasonic L10, which doesn't have 5-6 image stabilization, and it has a sensor that is like a quarter of the size of a full frame. Like, it doesn't make sense, right? Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna read a few more chats. Wolfie, you guys are talking to each other, no worries. Wolfie says, I would like a Prime if Panasonic can make a high enough resolution sensor to offer versatility for cropping. 28 to 35 lens with 30 to 40 megapixels like the X100. Okay. Now, sensor-wise, I don't think that's gonna change for quite some time. Nida says, I'm sure it's a great camera, but too chunky, heavy for me. At first, I was still enthusiastic about Panasonic getting into Micro Four Thirds. Now I'm not so sure. All right, since everyone is talking about the camera already, let's just dive into the topic. Let me drink some coffee. So last Tuesday, talking about last 1 week ago, right? Last Tuesday, I was about to sleep here in Malaysian time, so it's past midnight already, right? So I was watching, if I remember correctly, I was watching The Boys, one of the newer episodes in season 5, and I thought, like, okay, just to wind down at the end of the day before I go to sleep. And then it was 1 o'clock. As I was just about to sleep, I saw some notifications pinging. So I clicked on them and saw, oh my goodness, Panasonic launched a new camera. It was everywhere, right? It was on not Petapixel. It was the one that doesn't have, it has an announcement, but it doesn't have a review, right? I saw it, the announcement on DP Review. I saw reviews everywhere by the group of influencers or YouTubers invited to Japan. Like obviously some of our familiar Micro Four Thirds YouTubers have published some of these videos, and it was interesting because the first batch of reviews that hit YouTube during launch, I'm talking about a dozen or so reviews, they were all overwhelmingly positive. They were talking about like, oh, this is like my forever camera. Oh, this is the camera I've been waiting for. Oh, this is like the best camera ever. Like, I'm not gonna look for other camera. This is it. This is like the only camera that I need from now onwards. I'm gonna throw everything away. I'm like, wow, really? This is a little bit getting a little bit out of hand. So, anyways, doesn't really matter because, like, you know, it's anyone's opinion. People can say whatever they want, right? As a reviewer, you have the freedom. You know, like opinion is subjective. So we feel free to disagree with anyone, right? It doesn't really matter. Like, anyone can say whatever they want. So yeah, it's just strange that, you know, the first batch of reviews were like super positive, and these were coming from people that I had high respects for. I really respected some of these people. I thought they would be a little bit more unbiased and a little bit more balanced in the things that they say, but it seems like everything that they said in their content was glowingly positive. And it doesn't take long to realize that they were glossing over some important details. They were just skimping over some things that were not so good about the Panasonic L10. Like, for example, it still uses the same 24-75 lens, which is obviously problematic. I mean, if you are a Panasonic user, if you are a fan of Panasonic as you claim you are, if you're familiar with the Panasonic's universe, you would know that that lens is problematic, right? And they never mention about that. Obviously, when you see the camera in the hand, you can see that it's not a small camera. I cannot imagine anyone calling that Panasonic L10 a compact size camera. It is not overly large, I admit. I understand, right? We do have larger Micro Four Thirds cameras, like the Panasonic GH7 is massive, right? Panasonic G9 Mark II is way bigger than the Panasonic L10. And obviously OM system, OM1, or EM1X Olympus, these cameras are far larger compared to the Panasonic L10. So it is not like the biggest camera out there, but to call it a compact camera, the word compact, this makes me think twice. Look at it. It doesn't look compact at all. In fact, it looks really chunky. Which leads to me creating the title of this live stream, calling this Panasonic L10 the chunkiest compact ever made. Now, before we go too far, let me just be perfectly clear, and I just want to clarify a few things. I don't hate Panasonic. I'm not against Panasonic. I'm a huge Panasonic Micro Four Thirds fan. I think Panasonic contributed a lot to the success of Micro Four Thirds. They were the first person to launch a Micro Four Thirds camera, and that Panasonic G1, the first mirrorless camera, practically revolutionized the camera industry. Panasonic played a significant role in the camera world. That's undeniable, right? I love Panasonic products. I've been saying amazing things about the Panasonic GM1. Last week, I made a video to talk about why I think the GM1 is the perfect travel camera. I used it during my recent trip to Bangkok. I did some street photography there. I shared the photographs in my last live stream, as well as my video last week. All right, I love that Panasonic GM1. I also love some Panasonic lenses that I have. Currently, I'm using the Panasonic 15 f1.7 on this OM1 for my live stream setup. You're seeing me through a Panasonic lens, right? The 15 1.7 is an excellent lens. And for the recent job that I did last weekend, the one at Pat Peng, which was this one, right? I actually used Panasonic lens extensively, which is the Panasonic 9 f1.7, which I can show you here. I think it's on my EM1 Mark II here. This is the lens that I use. This is a Panasonic 9mm f1.7, which is a fantastic lens, an ultra wide angle lens. I used this for more than 50% of the shots that I took last weekend. I think Panasonic lenses are amazing. I think people who have used, say, the 42.5 f1.2 Noctichrome would say that it's a fantastic lens. I think a lot of people love the 25 f1.4. I think Panasonic does make some amazing Micro Four Thirds products. I hope that they continue to contribute to the Micro Four Thirds ecosystem. Now, about LX100. Let me be perfectly clear that I'm not a fan of LX100. I have one here, which I said I can't sell it off because it has lens error. I like the design of it. I think it looks nice. I'm not a fan of the shutter speed dial. I'm not a fan of the EVF being at the side. I know a lot of people prefer the EVF all the way to the side, but I prefer the electronic viewfinder or any type of viewfinder to be at the same position or the same axis as the lens, so that when I hold the lens, I will look through it. It's like it's perfectly aligned. Being away from the lens, being off center, makes everything looks a little bit weird, and there's just some level of discomfort. I feel disoriented using the electronic viewfinder all the way to the side. I just don't like it. I know a lot of people prefer it that way. I just hate it. I hate it so much, right? This is personal. Now, I don't like the LCD screen. I think the LCD screen is not very visible in bright sunlight. I think it's just Panasonic's problem. I don't like the colors coming out from the LX100. I've said this already, but it's not a unique problem to the LX100. I have the same color problem from the Panasonic GM1 from last week. I've used Panasonic G9, GH4, GH5, GM1, GM5. What other Panasonic cameras have I used that have all these weird color problems? I've used a lot. UGF7 has all this weird Panasonic color, and the skin tone is just weird. I don't like the lens. I've talked about it already. The 24-75 equivalent lens is very, very soft. It doesn't have good contrast. Sharpness is lacking. When you look at the photographs, it's just flat and uninteresting. The rendering is just very poor. I'd rather use a 14-42 kit lens from Olympus or the Panasonic 12-32 kit lens, which will render much better results compared to this lousy 24-75 lens. I guess to make the lens really, really small and make it really, really bright, they have to compromise a lot to a point where the rendering really, really suffers. I don't like the fact that it doesn't have image stabilization. I know the lens has image stabilization, but it's so bad that might as well you don't have image stabilization at all, just turn it off, right? And I also don't like the fact that they don't utilize the full area of the Micro Four Thirds sensor. I think it's a complete waste. I don't get it about the multi-aspect ratio. Just give us one aspect ratio that uses the entire frame of the Micro Four Thirds sensor, right? Rather than cropping it down and, like instead of having a 20 megapixels, or in this case, the 16 megapixels, you only get like 10, 12 megapixels. And the latest one, instead of 25 megapixels, you only get like 20 megapixels. That is a waste of a lot of pixels. It makes zero sense. Just give me one aspect ratio minus all the useless crops. I don't think they are useful anyway. Just give me as much pixels as I can. That would be the better way to go. Now, other than that, like, I get it. It's a smallish camera. It's easy to carry around. You don't have to change the lens. It's versatile zoom range. It's built-in electronic viewfinder. Overall, it has nice manual controls. The camera itself is not really that responsive. Zoom is very slow. Startup time is very slow. shot to shot, there's nothing to shout about. And image quality, there's nothing to shout about. And because there's a crop in the sensor, it's about 20% crop, you do lose a little bit of dynamic range and high ISO performance. I don't know if it's about half a stop or one stop, but it is noticeable in terms of dynamic range and high ISO. It's not as good as, say, another 16 megapixel sensor on, say, the Olympus EM5 or EM1. You can clearly see the difference. And yeah, like, I don't think there's a lot to love about the LX100, honestly, right? So now enter the new Panasonic L10. It's a new camera. I gotta say, I'm very happy that Panasonic is still making new products. I know that the Panasonic L10 is not exactly a Micro Four Thirds product because you cannot change lens, it has a fixed lens, but still happy to see that, hey, there's a new product within the ecosystem that Panasonic is making and they are not dead yet. So that's good news. Now I'm very excited about that. Now I'm also happy to see that Panasonic has put new technology and new innovation into the L10. It has a new sensor from GH7, G9 Mark II, although they don't utilize the entire sensor, which is, I think, is a very, very stupid thing to do. I like that they include the new autofocus system, the face detection autofocus. That's really good, and I like that they also include the new video shooting capabilities, which I think a lot of people will appreciate. And it has a swivel screen, which I think will benefit both street photographers and videographers as well. Now, they did get some things right in the Panasonic L10, right? New sensor, new autofocus performance, better electronic viewfinder, thankfully, because this electronic viewfinder here is so bad that I'd rather not use it. It's the field sequential electronic viewfinder is so bad. So thankfully they have a better electronic viewfinder, although not the latest, not the highest resolution, not the highest refresh rate viewfinder, say from the GH7 or G9 Mark II, but it's a lower resolution one. But still, it's a much better electronic viewfinder compared to the one in the LX100. Now, it is not cheap. I can understand the price being like 1,499, 1,599. That's understandable because inflation, everything is not cheap anymore, and they did put all the latest tech in the camera. I just wish a few things, right? I wish that they utilize the full sensor. I wish that they have included 5-axis image stabilization. Don't tell me it's impossible. If they can put 5-axis image stabilization in the S9 with a full frame sensor, I'm sure they can put in the 5-axis image stabilization in the Panasonic L10 with a much smaller sensor. It is just science, right? It is engineering. It is possible. Don't tell me it's not possible. And if they said, oh, because of the multi-aspect ratio of the lens, blah, 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 then get rid of that. 5-axis image stabilization trumps the multi-aspect ratio crap that Panasonic is doing that nobody cares for. Like, seriously, if you shoot at, all these weird ratios, how is it going to benefit you? I'd rather have one singular aspect ratio and get the entire frame of the Micro Four Thirds sensor without any crop. That will be so much better, right? And yeah, other than that, it's a little bit too large on the larger side. We talked about this already. I wish it's 20% smaller. I really do. And it would have been perfect if they have included 5-axis image stabilization. They've made it like 20% smaller. Then yeah, maybe the lens is not the best, but I understand it cannot have everything. Yeah, things will be a lot better. What do you guys think? Do you love the Panasonic L10? Do you think it's too chunky? Do you think it's a good idea to have the same lens? Do you actually like the multi-aspect ratio of the lens? They have to crop in 20% and lose dynamic range, lose resolution, lose high ISO performance. Is there anything that you wish to be improved in the Panasonic L10, or is this like your forever, your best camera, your final camera ever, like no more other cameras you're gonna look for? Is this your ultimate travel camera? Let me know in the chat. I'd love to hear your opinion. And before I get to the chat, let me just drink more coffee. Coffee. Let me get to the members first. Let's see. Okay, where were we? We're a little bit behind the chat. Andrew says, I'm glad that my LX100 still works, and yes, the zoom lens is pretty slow. The only time I use it when I'm in total zen, not get easily frustrated. And from the Petapixels review done by Chris and Jaron, not Chris and Jordan this time, it seems like they never changed or improved the speed of the lens. The zoom is still as slow as it was. Like, Surprise, surprise, right? With better processor and newer technology, I thought that they would have improved the zooming capability, but no. Right. Gary says, just put a Panasonic 14 on the GM1. You all must have big shirt pockets. What shirts? Jetic says, I'm glad we're getting into cargo shorts wearing weather. That's a large enough pocket for the GM1 with a small zoom for sure. I can put a GM1 in my jeans pocket. Have you seen the video I did? That's the one where I talk about the Panasonic manager from US sent me an email. And he's basically just rebutting all the points that I made about the Panasonic S9 and said that I shouldn't be comparing against the GM5 and blah, 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 blah. And then like in that video, I actually fitted the GM1 into my jeans pocket. Yeah, like what cargo shorts? Just use the jeans pocket. Andrew says, I find that most of the first impression review seems a bit scripted. Everyone seems to be giving the same glowing reviews. You just have to wait for the full in-depth reviews to come. They have a choice, right? Look at Petapixel. They were invited to the same launch at Osaka, both Chris and Jaren, and they launched the video a few days later. And it's all about choice, whether you want to do a good job, a thorough test, right? A credible review, a proper content, or you can do like a half-assed, half-baked content, put it out there and just miss all the important details. Like, it's your choice, right? At the end of the day, it's only your own integrity that's affected as a content creator, right? Why would you want to compromise your credibility by launching a half-baked content? It makes no sense, right? Look at Petapixel. People should learn from Chris and Jaren. Strange to say Chris and Jaren, right? It's always Chris and Jordan. Chris and Jordan, it's Chris and Jaren. But anyway, they did a fantastic job. Jeffrey says, whenever I return from 10 days in the wilderness, hike in mountains, eating camp food and first cafe of a steak, it's the best steak I ever ate in my life. Panasonic fans with L10 after a long wait. Not true though. Only those influencers and the YouTubers say that's the best thing they've ever had, right? But if you look at the comments in all the videos, out of 10 comments, 8 or 9 will say that, hey, are you blind? That camera is huge. Like, how are you not addressing the fact that the camera doesn't have 5-axis mesh stabilization and all the other important things that's missing from the camera, right? It's like, all the comments are not really in favor of the L10. And those are Panasonic fans, not the reviewers or the influencers, right? Zach says, how does the size compare to the Canon PowerShot with the almost Micro Four Thirds sensor? The Canon is tinier. Gary says, even Emily's gushing review left me puzzled. I just did not see the reason for it. Even her review, Linda, I think you might be correct. Hole effect. Halo effect, not hole effect. Yeah, I have a greasy nose, so switching to being right eye after retina detachment in my left eye has me liking left position EVF, Pen F, GM5. I understand. It feels very unnatural, and somehow it affects me. The quality of my composition, everything is affected because everything is off, right? So I rather have, like, when I hold the lens, I like the viewfinder to be exactly where the lens is, so I can actually have, like how hand-eye coordination thing, everything is just off if the viewfinder is off-center. Yeah. Grace says, plus I can keep my left eye open and view the scene. I can keep both eyes open and view the scene, right? Like, look, this is EM1 Mark II, right? I can keep both my eyes open. Like, why can't? I can see everything with both my eyes open. Like, that's not a valid excuse, Gregory. I've been shooting with DSLR style, the viewfinder at the center in line with the lens, since more than 10 years ago, and I've always kept both eyes open. I don't see the reason why I can't do that, right? Like, weird. Yeah. Holy friend, modern tech. Yeah, Wolfie says, I'm more excited for the last few days with the avalanche of new lenses for Micro Four Thirds mount from China, including brand new brands making lenses for the system. It's more like they're just teasing. Nothing is being launched yet at this moment, if I'm not mistaken, right? Like, I understand, was it the, what was the brand? I can't remember the brand now. There's one really, really cheap brand, SG Image, that have like 18mm f2.2, right? Ruby says, I know they are not dedicated design to Micro Four Thirds, but I would accept their willingness to share R&D with APS-C coverage to maximize their profitability for a little bit on the lens potential size. Yeah, well, to be fair, APS-C and Micro Four Thirds, not that much difference anyway. Andrew says, I got the LS100 just because I couldn't afford the Leica Deluxe, and my LS100 is pre-loved. Think of it this way. The Leica camera, Deluxe whatever, is technically a Panasonic camera. Why would you even want that Leica camera in the first place? That is not technically a Leica camera. Think about it. Who made the camera? Do you think it was Leica who made it in the factory or Panasonic? If it is true, if it's that Leica camera was made by Panasonic, then why do we even want a Leica version which is more expensive? Movie says, I'm extremely impressed and excited for Laowa autofocus 4.5 to 10 fisheye zoom, which was a product never made by other brands. Fisheye zooms used to be a big thing. Was it autofocus though? Let me see. Jimmy just launched a new video, right? Jimmy Chang. Let me see. Laowa 4.5 to 10 millimeters. Is it AF? Does it have autofocus? It is manual focus, right? It doesn't have autofocus as far as I remember. So that's the website is F-Stopper, which was 6 days ago. Laowa 4.5 to 10 millimeters f2.8 fisheye zoom. I know Laowa teased a few lenses, or they did say that in the future they are going to make autofocus lenses for Micro Four Thirds. They did say that, but this particular lens, 4.5 to 10 fisheye, is not one of them. As far as I remember, there's no autofocus. No, not this lens. This will be a full manual focus lens. Sorry, Wolfie. I know you have your hopes up. All right. Gregory says, do they do image stabilization with actuators or shifting the image? I'm sure actuators do not shrink the sensor size. Nah, they don't. They just move the entire image sensor around. Yeah. Wolfie says, maybe Panasonic needs more time and budget for R&D to make the L10 smaller and lighter. That's not true. That's not true. Panasonic has developed a smaller image stabilization to fit cameras the size. That's not true. That's not true. John says, L10 still using SD card. Yes, John, it uses SD card. All right. Jeffrey says, as event action photographer, shooting both eyes open is pretty standard. Need to always be aware of what's entering the frame. That's true. Even a wedding photographer, right? If he says, tease or not, China has announced more lenses in the last few days than what Panasonic and OM Digital Solutions have done in the last 2 years. Well, nothing exciting though. All the focal lengths have been covered. Like, I'd rather they launch something that we don't have yet, right? That will be more exciting. Yeah. Who says Leica is a brand and a lifestyle that people pay for. It's the red dot they want more than what is inside the camera. And what's inside the camera is basically the same as LS100 anyway, right? So what's the point? Yeah. Confused with CF and F. Yeah, close focus, not autofocus. All right, no worries. Yeah. 8 to 15 f2.8 fisheye zoom. Yeah, is that available for Micro Four Thirds? I hope it is. All right, let's get to the non-members chat. I'm a little bit behind, so guys, do bear with me. And Peel says, Robin, I managed to find 2 Nikon 1 cameras for 140 euros body. That is a steal. With a back charger, 1 battery, and a 2 10 to 30 broken lens, but I plan to repair them. The bodies are 1 and 2. Can't wait to test them. That's awesome. J1 and J2. I have the J1, still alive. And I have 2 lenses with the J1. 17.5 f1.8, which translates to 50 equivalent, and a 10, is it 10 f2.8, which is about 27 equivalent, right? So a 27 equivalent and a 50 equivalent lens, both excellent lenses, and I should be using it more often, right? Maybe I should, maybe I will. Linda says, at least as far as really small bodies and lenses are concerned, rather they'll be reusing full frame bodies if they do any in Micro Four Thirds at all. Okay. The Great Vanzini says, good morning, Robin. Hey, how are you? Very good to see you here. Ashram says, maybe they can take the L10, add image stabilization and Micro Four Thirds mount, and you'll have an interesting camera. It seems like Panasonic has had a tendency of trying to save money by removing image stabilization and electronic viewfinder. I don't know. We'll see. An updated GF series camera maybe, or a GX series camera, but you can't make a GX series camera without an electronic viewfinder, right? That would be suicidal. All right, let's see. Linda says, somehow Panasonic split the old LX goodness into two cameras after the LX7, one too big, one too small, but without the controls at LX10 and LX15. I understand. But then again, LX10 and LX15 is not exactly micro four thirds. It has smaller sensor. LX7 as well. It's quite small, right? So it's different. Hey, did you know says, love my GM1 as an everyday carry. I usually keep it in a shirt front pocket. Yeah. I love my GM1 as well. I just made a video about that last Thursday, I think. I released it last Thursday. I brought it to Bangkok, Thailand. Did some street photography with that camera. Awesome camera. I said it was the perfect travel camera. Hey Jeff, how are you? Jeff says, hey Robin and everyone. Good to see you here. The Nick says, down in Melbourne from Sydney, Australia, and have my trusty OM5. It's a street photography dream. OM5 is an excellent camera. It seems like it's a better proposition compared to the L10, right? The OM5 has, it's weather sealed. The OM5 has 5-6 image stabilization. And pretty much it's not too large. I know that it's not that much smaller than the L10, but at least it can change lens, right? So yeah, there you go, OM5. Go OM5. Yeah. Linda says, what about 14mm for your shirt pockets? Then it says, using the Panasonic 9 the most at the moment. Fantastic lens for these low-cost months in Melbourne. Low-cost months. All right, that's a 9 f1.7 here. Amazing lens. You guys are talking to each other, no worries. The 14 and 20 are about the same size, same in terms of how far they extend beyond the camera. 20 is just super thick. Yeah, 20 is bigger in diameter. Tommy says, hi Robin, just saw a Vutrox video showing their lens on GM5. It looks a lot compact than the L10. Vutrox video, interesting. Vutrox GM5. What did they do? I don't see anything. Vutrox GM5. I don't see anything. Let's see on videos. What did Vutrox do? Interesting. Let me know what did they do. Okay. Jeff says, too many potential problems with all-in-one camera. Give me a separate lens and body any day. Yeah. Why don't they just do like a GM series update or a GX series update? Why an LX100 or the L10? It doesn't make any sense, right? And this way you get all the backlash, right? It's like a disaster waiting to happen. Linda says, yeah, the dust issue with almost any fixed lens camera turns me off unless it's really cheap. Yeah, it squeezes it in there. Yeah. One title of who has Leica 30 cameras, my forever cameras. Yeah. Chill Guys Club says, what do you think about the EM5 Mark III today in 2026? I think it's an excellent camera. I haven't used the original EM1 or the EPL7, which are much older than the EM5 Mark III. So in terms of technology and what the camera can do, it's definitely better and newer than a lot of the cameras that I'm still actively using today. So yeah, I think EM5 Mark III is an excellent camera. Hey, did you know says, a lot of the L10 reviews have been ridiculous. They just want to keep getting free cameras for review. But why sacrifice your credibility though? I don't understand. Like being a reviewer, you need to build trust with your audience. And once that trust is betrayed, it's very hard to repair it. Yeah, I know, because it took me a long time to build my platform, right? To have this audience with you guys. And imagine if one day I just betray your trust. It's not going to be easy to win you guys back, right? Like, why would they willingly just throw it away? It doesn't make sense. Linda says, Marcus Pix has expressed similar sentiments. Yeah, I saw his video. He was being really harsh. It was really harsh. He's like, oh, there's so many small cameras around. Look at the Sony RX100 Mark 7. Look at the Canon GX7 series. Or look at the Ricoh. Or look at the Fuji SM5. Like, oh my goodness. He has a point though. He has a point. Yeah. Hey, do you know says the zoom lens is aesthetically cheap, ugly looking. It's optically inferior. I don't mind it looking ugly though. Aesthetics to me doesn't really matter that much. If the lens is really sharp and is really good, I can forgive it. At the end of the day, all I care about is the images that I get from the camera. But no, the lens is quite bad. Yeah. Lina says, oops, type too fast. Anyway, I like the multi-aspect sensor. All right. Osiris says, the only questionable engineering decision for me is the battery size, which I think is what made the body a bit larger. But if you view the actual dimensions, it's not that much more than the GX85. But I'll argue that, what's GX85 weather sealed? I don't remember. No, it's not weather sealed. Too bad. What's GX9 weather sealed? It's also not. Oh, too bad then. Yeah. Well, I can't give any argument to the GX series. But let's say you compare to OM5 or EM5 Mark III. You know, you get weather sealing, you get the 5-axis mesh stabilization, you get to use the entire full width of the sensor and still enjoy like electronic viewfinder and all the other good stuff, all the other computational stuff. So, you know, like not having all this good stuff makes the L10 not really a compelling choice, right? Jay Taylor says, LX100 is a niche camera. I agree, perhaps to fit my niche. Awesome, if you love it, then if it works for you, that's amazing. Osiris says, I would have preferred a smaller battery, smaller size, and weather sealing if that's possible for zoom fixed lens. Of course it's possible, why not? Yeah. Fortito says, Chunk City and not image stabilization, boo Panasonic. I cannot believe that they would just glance over the importance of image stabilization after all these years, right? And they even have like really powerful image stabilization for the G9, G9 Mark II, and GH7, right? And just completely take it out from the LX100, although the L10, from the L10, right? Although the L10 is quite huge. Makes zero sense. If they've kept the same size as, say, you know, like LX100 and they don't have the 5-axis mesh stabilization, I can sort of forgive them, but they made it so huge, then what's the excuse, right? Considering the fact that the same size camera, the S9 that houses a full frame sensor, has 5-axis mesh stabilization. So what's the excuse, Panasonic? Linda says, I mean, there's a reason that I'm still looking for a replacement for the LX3 from 2008. I may end up with a not that much newer LX7. LX7 is a fantastic camera, but I think in the used market here in Malaysia, it's quite expensive though. With the price that they're going for, I'd rather get a Micro Four Thirds camera, something like an EPL7 or an EM10, which will give me much better image quality. I know it's not as compact in size, but in terms of the capability, what the camera can do, it's miles ahead of what the LX7 can do. Yeah, I forgot what's correct already. Yeah, Jay Taylor says, multi-aspect ratio is about doing more work in camera and less in post. That's all. But then again, you're cropping in. You're losing resolution to begin with. You are sacrificing resolution already. Whereas if I don't have the multi-aspect thing, I'm given full resolution of the sensor. Who in the sane mind in the world would want to throw away resolution? Micro Four Thirds doesn't even have a lot of resolution to begin with. Why would you want to throw them away? I don't understand. Yeah. Hartakada says, design is great, but just that. All right. Bitmons says, imagine 5-axis mesh stabilization, weather sealing, and the Leica 51.7 glued to it. Yeah, why not? That would make a really compelling choice, right? That would be amazing. Yeah. Okay, let's see if there's any members chat. I'll jump to the members chat first and come back to the non-member. Right. Roy Coucher says, just remember the EM1 Mark II. This is the 10th year, correct. Still feels ridiculously fast to this day. That's correct. It's 10 years already. Yeah. John says, imagine one day Robin joins the Sony A7R6. In Robin we trust. When Sony or whoever of the third-party manufacturer can make a 135 f1.8 lens as small as this, I may switch over to full frame. That's a promise, John. You guys are talking to each other. That's cool. Andrew says, I think Panasonic's intention to the L10 is to compete directly with Fuji X100, but they seem to forget there's Sony ZV-1 and Canon V1 in the market as well. But Fuji X100 has tada, weather sealing, 5-axis image stabilization, optical viewfinder, and f2 lens, right? So like, with all these things built into the X100, it's justified for the size. You know, like you can shoot in the rain, It has 5-6 image stabilization. It has all this good stuff. But the L10 is chunky, but it doesn't have all this good stuff. So how is it going to compete with the X100? It makes zero sense, right? Who says no Panasonic camera under G95, G9 size were never weather sealed. Okay, that's cool. GS8 is weather sealed, I believe. All right, it's GS8 weather sealed. Panasonic GS8 weather sealed. Yes, Panasonic GS8 is weather sealed. Why did they remove it from the GS9? One of those weird Panasonic decisions that I can never understand. So there you go. They can make the GS8 weather sealed, right? So yeah. Hey Lenny, how are you? Len says, hi Robin, sorry joining late, still at work, hope you are good. Still, we'll catch up later. L10 seems good specs, but yes, it looks very chunky. No worries, do what I have to do, I'm sure. Yeah, work is important, right? Yeah. Right. Wolfie says, I think they will bring out a second version with autofocus while they are currently selling a manual focus version only on their official site. There'll be some time later though. Imagine if they launch an autofocus version, the manual focus lens is just going to be dead, right? It's just going to be invalid stock that's going to be lost to the company, right? So yeah, let's get to the members chat before we dive into the photo sharing. Hey, did you know says, Andrew, do you like the LX100? Okay, you guys are talking to each other. Keep doing that, no worries. TFAT91 says, Panasonic L10, so no LX100 this year. I thought the L10 is pretty clear. It's the LX100's successor, right? Linda says, I mean, it's Panasonic who apparently decided to put all the R&D into full frame. Yeah, it's kind of questionable, right? Their decisions. Captain Jonathan says, I like the L10, but it should be smaller if it's stuck with a fixed lens. If it had an interchangeable lens and image stabilization, it would be a Micro Four Thirds camera many have been waiting for. I think people will forgive it if it has image stabilization, if it's weather sealed and you can change lens. I think people will really forgive the size, right? Yeah, because, and if they didn't say it's a compact camera, they said it multiple times in the press release, this is a compact camera. In what way is it compact? I don't see it, right? Yeah. Camille says, hey Robin, you always say no autofocus, no go. I know you like the Panasonic 9 f4.7, but will you consider the Laowa 7.5 f2.8 with autofocus 4 Micro Four Thirds? Any thoughts on the lens? I've tried the Laowa 6 f2.8. I think it's a fantastic lens. But 7.5 f2.8, maybe not, because f1.7 to f2.8, that's a huge difference, and 9mm for me is more than wide enough for what I do. I understand some people will prefer wider coverage. If you do like architecture photography, interior photography, if you do like night sky, astrophotography, I think the Laowa 7.5 will be an excellent choice. But that Panasonic 9 f1.7 has two advantages. Number one, f1.7. Number two, it is weather sealed. Ha. Teller says, ha, the zoom on the LX100 is not nice. It's my favorite street camera. I still never liked the zoom. I know, right? It is so slow. Like, I missed so many shots using that lens. And the image quality is just meh. Yeah, that's the problem, right? Yeah. Robin says, there's really very little need for autofocus capability on wide-angle lenses. Oh, seriously? When you shoot at f1.7, if you don't have autofocus, almost everything will be out of focus. Trust me on that. Antriel says, howdy Robin and all. Hey Antriel, how are you? Good to see you here. Marky says, I love the Nikon 1 cameras and lenses. I might never be able to afford the second-hand 70-300 though, if you can find one. Nikon 1 cameras are really awesome. And Peel says, the cameras are cool, but the repair of the lens is a pain in the rear because they have this grease inside, and if you smudge that on the lens, you are done. I think you talk about this LX100, right? LX100's lens, which you can't change. Yeah. So if there's anything wrong with the lens, you need to send it for repair, and it's going to be really, really expensive. Yeah. Okay. Let's read a few more chats, and we go for photo sharing. And Peel says, now I have to buy some cleaning agents so that I do not end up with a ton of dust on them, because whatever I have now puts a ton of dust on them. Are you still talking about the LX100's lens? Okay. Mr. Dadu says, I have the Xiaomi 17 Ultra, a Lumix GM1 and Fuji X100 Mark VI, and so far I've been rarely using my phone for photography, but the Xiaomi 17 Ultra is very good. Yeah, I'm sure the phone is very good. Any modern smartphone cameras these days, they are more than good enough for casual snapshots, right? But then again, like, what if I want to do macro photography, or what if I want to do night sky photography, or what if I want to do some birding, or even events on stage? I'm not going to tell you which latest smartphone cameras that I tried with the super long lens, and they call it the master of the night. They can do a super low light photography, and it missed half of the shots. All of them come out with blurry mess, and there's no detail after all this noise reduction processing. All the images come out really, 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 really bad. I'd rather use the GM1 with a kit lens than any of this latest flagship smartphone. Like, trust me on that. Yeah. As Jihan says, you're sleeping on GX8. Yeah, but then again, GX8 is discontinued, right? Yeah. Jay Perez says, crazy how it was marketed as an X100 Mark VI competitor. Still seems the Fuji is a much better bang for the buck, minus its availability. I'll stick to my old handy LX3. Yeah, the Fuji is weather sealed, and it has 5-axis image stabilization. I've tested the 5-axis image stabilization. It's actually pretty impressive. Pretty impressive, right? Yeah. Len says, hi everyone. Hey Len, how are you? Marky says, L10 is a quick repurposing of the S9 body. That is true, that is true. I'm gonna put a pause on this chat here. Where's this particular chat? All right, and I'm gonna go to my first part of my photo sharing, but let me drink some water first because I'm getting really thirsty. I've been talking for 1 hour non-stop. All right. Gotta stay hydrated. Do I have to have coffee? Yes, I see some coffee left. In case you have just joined the stream, earlier on I talked about a shoot I did last weekend. It was a work weekend for me. I was shooting both Saturday and Sunday, full day from 10 to 6. This particular event, which is the Pat Peng Arcade. It is an old shopping mall building in Petaling Street, downtown Kuala Lumpur. It is half abandoned now, half the shops are empty. So a group of art community people took over the first and second floor and created a mini festival. And I was hired to shoot this particular event. So what I did was I brought my Olympus EM1 Mark II, which is an excellent camera, right? And this time, for the first time, the lens that I used the most for this job was the Panasonic 9 f1.7. So next Monday's video, for members, you guys can see it on Sunday night because you get a priority to see the members' first video. I was talking about why this Panasonic 9 f1.7 is so awesome, and finally I have a chance to really use this lens and make it shine. And a lot of the photographs that I'm showing in this particular live stream will also be used for next week's video, but there will be a separate video. There'll be more specific on why I love the 9 f1.7. Here, it's going to be a mixture of all the other lenses that I use. I also brought along the 15 1.7, Olympus 25 1.8, 45 1.8, and 75 1.8. So I was shooting all the images with the EM1 Mark II. So here goes. Yeah. So they converted one of the shops into a karaoke room, right? So it's called Pat Peng Karaoke. So these few shots are establishing shots. They are wide-angle shots showing what's around the building before the people come in. Yeah. And that's one of the walkway around the shops. They have a lot of glass. So it's a nice place to play a little bit with the reflection. And what you see in the background was actually the exhibition for Chinese opera costumes. These costumes were actually used for actual Chinese opera. And of course, that's one of the crew members cleaning the window. The windows are, because it's an old building, so the glass was quite smudgy and not really clear. Even no matter how you clean them, you can see that it's a little bit foggy, it's a little bit blurry, it's not exactly brand new or perfectly clear. But that's part of the charm, and I think it adds a certain look and feel to the photograph that I've been taking on this Pat Peng building. Right? I just love to play with reflections. And another cool thing about this job is because the person who hired me, she's an artist, so she understands what we love to do as photographers, and I was allowed to do a lot of the things that I want to do. So yes, I do have some shots that I was documenting for the event. These are the standard shots, but outside of that, I was free to do whatever I want. I even submitted all these photographs to the organizers, and they loved it, right? They loved it. So yeah, this is just a photograph of 4 chairs and some reflections, and you can see like the vibe of the building. Because the lighting of that building was fluorescent, you do get a little bit of this greenish, yellowish cast. Technically, it's not that great, but hey, it's part of what made the building look the way it is. So yeah, some of the empty spaces before people coming in. I hope you see that why the Panasonic 9 f1.7 is such a perfect lens here. First of all, it's low light, so I have the f1.7 to work with. Perfect to gather more light, and it's wide enough for me to fit everything within my frame, right? Because the space is very tight, the walkway is very narrow, so having an ultra wide angle lens was a lifesaver, especially in this low light f1.7. And the fact that the lens is so tiny, right? I can handle it with my EM1 Mark II, no problem whatsoever. Yeah, you can see it is just amazing. Right, I love that they use very weird color accents along the walkway. They have like bright neon yellow and reds and everything to simulate some very cool vibes, right? And yeah, of course, because the place is very dark, I have f1.7 and I was using my EM1 Mark II, so I trust the 5-axis image stabilization. Even if I shoot at like 1/10 of a second, 1/5 of a second, or even half a second, no problem, right? We all know how powerful the image stabilization is on Olympus cameras. Using a wide angle lens at f1.7, all I have to do was to shoot at ISO 200. So people say, full frame will be better in low light because the high ISO performance, blah, 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 will be less noise. What noise? I was shooting at ISO 200. What noise? They'll say, there'll be the denoise program, blah, blah, blah. Again, why? Why is there a need to denoise when there is no noise to begin with? Okay, moving on. Like this, a room where they do a little bit of the shadow play. We call it wayang kulit, or they just cast a projection of bright light onto different objects to cast the shadows on the projection screen, right? Which is very, very interesting. And more of the building. And the fun fact was that while this festival is going on, some of the shops, the existing shops, were still operational. They were still accepting customers, right? They were open during this time, which is very, very, very interesting. Yeah. And there's a lot of people come in after, I think, in the afternoon. So the festival was from 11 to 8. I think after lunch, around 2 o'clock, that's where people start to pour in. Around 4 to 5 o'clock is the peak time where there's so many people in the building. It was so packed and messy, right? So I was very thankful to be there earlier to capture some of the shots. And they have a lot of classes, workshops happening. And there were times where 3 or 4 things were happening at the same time at different floors, different classes, different rooms. I have to literally be at different places at once. I had to split myself. Well, not really, because all these workshops and classes, they were ongoing for several hours. Some of them were going on for 2 to 3 hours. Some of them were going on for 1 hour. So I have time to move around and capture all these different shots, right? So yeah, and it's a different angle from the karaoke room, right? I like that they have all these different disco light colors, rainbow colors floating around inside, which is really, really cool. Right, and there's a room full of chairs. This is technically an artistic installation, so all the chairs being scattered all around the room, it has a meaning to it. I don't have time to really dive into the artistic statement. Bear in mind, I was working. I need to get my shots, right? So I don't have time to read everything and really understand all the art. My job is to capture what's there and document what's being put in the building, right? So yes, I don't have time to really understand it, but this is one of the art installations. So yeah, these are one of the rooms where they actually make cassette tapes, those audio tapes, cassettes from 18s and 90s, right? I have some close-up shots later. And there's this one random room where there's just a bed, and people are encouraged to go in and lie on the bed. People don't know that, and I was supposed to shoot someone going in and actually sleep on the bed. So me and the videographer were trying our best to tell people, hey, you can go in and lie down on the bed. I think at some point we became really creepy. It's like, why is this photographer and this videographer keep asking people to go in and sleep on the bed? But we need our shots. I was desperate, right? It's like people don't go in and sleep, and I need to get shots of people sleeping on the bed, and nobody's going in. So I was getting desperate. But I also realized that, yeah, it was getting a little bit weird. People looking at me like it's getting awkward, right? Why is Robin asking people to sleep on the bed? And of course, there's dances, dance class, people teaching you to dance some traditional dance as well, which is pretty cool. Right, workshops, talks happening, which is very nice. All different topics, mostly history about Kuala Lumpur or some really interesting stories from back in the day, right? And of course, I have not everything is wide angle, right? So this was taken with the 9 f1.7. This was obviously taken with the amazing Olympus 75 1.8. It's a must-have lens if you are an event shooter. Look at how amazing the shot is. This is the kind of shot that the Panasonic LX100 cannot do, right? Look at the pop. Look at the, I don't know, like you look at the photograph, there's a sense of realism. It just jumps, right? Like there's something that I don't get from the Panasonic LX100, right? Even wide angle shots like this, like all these shots, they just look so alive, right? There's a 3D depth to it that the lens just cannot do. Anyway, enough about LX100. So yeah, this was the cassette tape that I was talking about. Like I have to go close. This was shot with the 45 1.8, right? Obviously an excellent lens, one of my favorite lens. I keep saying that the Olympus 45 1.8 is my bread and butter lens, right? And storytelling, this is Amir. The event title is Curi Curi Baca, which means stealing books and read them. I hope I translated that correctly. It doesn't make any sense, but yeah, reading books in secret or something, like secretly reading books. So you can bring whatever books that you have in whatever languages. It can be a poem, a story, or just an excerpt from any articles and read to everyone in the room. And if it's not in English or Malay, which everyone understands there, then you are required to do a quick summary or translate it to a language that everyone understands. So yeah, which was a very interesting event. And this particular room was a game room, and they have mahjong. Mahjong is a typical Chinese gambling game. I don't really know how to play mahjong. My dad plays mahjong, but he's passed away. He's never taught me. Yeah, so they have people there to coach you, to teach you how to play mahjong if you don't know how to play. And this was the most popular room ever. I have some shots which I'm not showing. I'm not showing all the shots here. Yeah, I'm just showing a few shots. I delivered like 600-700 shots to my client. I'm only showing you a few shots here. This room was packed, like literally packed with humans. Yeah, this was not the busiest time, so I get some cleaner shots. So yeah. And that's the room full of chairs, which they also have some workshops and classes happening. This was the secretly reading class conducted by Amir. All right, just to show a few more shots. And this was another workshop that's happening. All right, people have not arrived yet. So there's a wide angle view to show why wide angle lens is important. You can see layers, you can see what's on the table. You can see the participants. The person who is leading this workshop was the guy in red on the right. And you can see the background, which is the Peng building. You can see that it's semi-abundant, right? It's like half of the shops are not open. And it shows the location. And with these layers, it tells a more compelling story. It tells you a more complete story of what these guys are doing or where they are during this festival. So yeah. Some close-up shots. It's very important to take like a wide angle to establish the location, to tell the full story. Also go into details. This is a shot with, if I'm not wrong, 15 1.7. I could be wrong. If I'm not wrong, this was 15 1.7. I don't think this was 25 1.8. I could be wrong. Either 15 or 25. I will put my money on 15 1.7. Just one more shot. And this was a room with all these prints. You can print whatever you want in the room. There's a photocopy machine. And this guy is just throwing everything up in the air. So yeah, I thought it was pretty fun. So yeah, that's the first part. I have two more parts actually. There's part 2 and part 3. So a lot of photographs to go through from this particular job, which I did last weekend, which I used the Olympus EM1 Mark II and the Panasonic 9 f1.7 for most of the shots. I think more than 50%. I think I'm showing like 70% of the shots were taken with the Panasonic 9 f1.7. But I know in total of my shots that I've taken on that day, both days, Saturday and Sunday, half the shots were taken with the Panasonic 9 f1.7. Yeah, this lens, this ultra wide angle lens, which I think is a fantastic, fantastic lens. So there you go. Did I say 51.7? I was wrong. It was 9 f1.7. So yeah. All right, before I get to the chat, let me just drink more water. I got really thirsty. I hope you guys enjoyed the photographs. That was last weekend. It was really colorful, right? And it was mostly low light. Very, very low light. Fun fact, the videographer that was hired separately from me was a Micro Four Thirds shooter. So in this particular event, the photography and videography were 100% done with Micro Four Thirds. Go Team Micro Four Thirds. Let's drink to that. All right, let's get to the members chat. You guys are talking to each other. No worries. That's great. Keep doing that. Wolfie says, when I shoot my 7 Artisans 10 f2.8 fisheye at minimum focusing distance, f2.8, I can blur the background as much as 51.8. Exactly, right? For my style of shooting, I really need autofocus. No autofocus, no go. Like, seriously. Yeah. Okay. Roy Catcher says, I reckon my Samsung S7 has a better camera than my current S25 Ultra. There's just too much processing on modern phone, and I just had to get an app to disable auto HDR. I know, right? Like when I pixel peep, really look at the images, the colors, the smudging of details, and everything is just so bad. It's just so bad. Yeah. Plastic chair vibe, yeah. John, you should have been to the festival, man. It was quite cool. It was quite fun. Yeah. John says, you need to add noise to these photos for the vibe. Nope. Robin doesn't do noise. Is this place open for us to go in and photo walk? It was open on Saturday and Sunday, so whatever you saw in these photographs, John, it was only created for the festival. It was in conjunction with the KL festival, which I talked to you about earlier, right? And it was only for 2 days. Now they have dismantled everything. It was back to normal as usual. Yeah. Okay, let's see any more. Andrew says, Pak Peng was only last weekend. No more this coming weekend. No more. It was only for 2 days. Only for 2 days. Saturday and Sunday. Yeah. Wolfie says, before I go to Wolfie, right? The reason, Andrew, no money lah. You think all these things are free, ah? You think artists work for free, is it? And you know, like, I talked to the organizers. Well, I was hired by organizers. And the reason why it was only for 2 days was because the grants was only for those 2 days. Like, you know, Think City or DBKL or all these sponsors and people who fund this project, they don't want to do it for too long. They don't want to spend money, right? So yeah, blame it on the people who don't really appreciate art. Wolfie says, so went to all the Chinese websites and the official Beijing photo show to check all the lenses announced and or launched for Micro Four Thirds. There are 7 lenses, of which 4 of them are autofocus. All right, but they're not available yet, right? Yeah, it's the SG image. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. 18 f2.2, 25 f1.8, Vutrox 25 1.7, and 7.5 f2.8. So of all these lenses, you can minus the SG image 25 1.8 and the Vutrox 25 1.7 because we already have the excellent Olympus 25 1.8 and the Panasonic 25 1.7, right? These 2 lenses are already so good. Why do we need more 25mm lens? It doesn't make any sense. Now the Laowa 7.5 f2.8 could be a good lens for those people who need an ultra wide angle lens, something wider than 9, or if you don't need it that wide, I'll still push for Panasonic 9 f1.7 because it's not that expensive, and the Panasonic lens is weather sealed and it's f1.7 compared to f2.8, right? The 18 f2.2 is a good proposition. I don't know how good it is. It looks very small. I don't know how sharp it is. I hope it is good. I'm actually very curious to test the SG Image 18 f2.2. So honestly, Wolfie, there's only one lens that caught my attention. Yeah. Jeffrey says, cool perspectives. Marketing people and YouTube experts turn noise into a huge sin. Good images cover a multitude of sins, like your work. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, Wolfie says, Brighting Star 10 f5.6, Brighting Star 7.5 f2.8, Fisheye, and Laowa 4.5 to 10 f2.8. No manual focus, no autofocus, no go for Robin. John says, Robin, are you going to the Photo Fest this weekend? I don't know what's happening this weekend, John, but I mentioned earlier, let me see if I can bring it up again. Window. Where is my window screen? Here it is. I'm going to this thing at Fraser's Hill, both Saturday and Sunday. So I am not available for anything that's in the city. Yeah, this is a YL event, Fraser's Hill. I'm going up on Saturday morning, come back on Sunday evening. So yeah, unfortunately. Right, let's see. Wolfie says, very lovely pictures, Robin. Thank you for sharing. Thank you so much, Wolfie. Appreciate the kind words. Let's see. Andrew says, nice shots, Robin. Wish I was at Pat Pang. No worries. Thanks for the kind words. Grace says, cool pictures, Robin. Looks like an event my daughter and I would have liked. Yeah, it's only for 2 days. And KL Fest happened in May. Like, we didn't know it was going to happen in May. This was the first year they were doing KL Festival, right? If we knew, we would have done the workshop in May, right? Who would have known? They didn't announce it last year, right? It would have been really nice to have our workshop in May when all the participants can enjoy the KL Festival, right? We didn't know about this, so yeah. Who says, I find Olympus 25 f1.8 while being a great lens, it's not exactly a budget lens like the Panasonic 25 1.7 or Yono 25 1.7. But here the Olympus 25 1.8 is cheaper than the Panasonic 25 1.7 though, or at least the same price here in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. So yeah. In fact, most of the Panasonic stuff here is more expensive than Olympus. Most of them. Yeah. Wolfie says, Olympus 25 1.8 feels more in the bracket of their premium f1.8 like 17 f1.8 and 12 f2. But even 17 f1.8 and 12 f2 is so cheap now. Like, you can get one for like 100 or 200 US dollars or even less. So yeah. Gregory says, normal packet lens for GM1 is interesting if the price is right. Yeah, and if the quality is good, right? If the quality is crap and autofocus is bad, then what's the point? Wolfie says, while the cameras and lenses of the first-party brands have been getting more and more expensive, I'm more than happy to have third-party Chinese and Koreans making more affordable budget lenses. If they are good, price is not the only thing that matters, right? It depends on how much sacrifice they did in terms of image quality and autofocus. Like, if there are 80% as good as the first party, then it's worth considering. Gregory says, when I was a kid, the adults would go to the hill stations for long weekends, leaving us in the care of our amas. It sounds like a good nostalgic memory. Andrew says, this weekend, KL Festival, I'm going for the Sony photo walk on Saturday and Azu's talk on Sunday. Azu has so many interesting things to share. Yeah. I've learned so much from Azu, seriously. Go say hi to Azu for me. I actually registered for Azu's walk on Saturday, not Sunday, the Merdeka 118 one. He actually announced this coming Saturday one before the last Saturday one. So this Saturday one was full and they created one week before. This is weird, right? Normally they do it 1 week after. I've registered and paid for it, but I can't go. I actually gave my slot to a friend, so unfortunate. Wolfie says the Chinese brands are going to launch zoom lenses at some point, so maybe we can afford more photography. I'm happy with prime lenses. I don't really care about zoom lenses at this point. So yeah, let's get to the non-members chat. We're a little bit behind, but I'll do my best to catch up. Okay, where were we? Anthony says, here in Newfoundland and Labrador on the Great Northern Peninsula, there are lots of icebergs to see right now. That's awesome. I hope you got some good shots, Anthony, and welcome to the stream. Lim says, I think the L10 does have optical image stabilization, which is practically negligible anyway. I'm guessing the image stabilization in body could not be added. That's not true. The lens needing to be close to the center. Nah, that's just rubbish. If that can have the image stabilization with a full frame lens. Full frame lens, right? On S9. I'm sure they can make it happen with such a tiny sensor, microphoto sensor, on the same large size body. It's just excuses. Yeah. Grey Ghost Dog says the X100 is only weather sealed with the optional adapter, but it is still weather sealed, right? Right. There's no way to make the L10 weather sealed. Right. Or am I wrong? Anthony says, I agree with you that Panasonic L10 is not compact enough. OM system has an opportunity now to bring out smaller, more compact micro four thirds camera with image stabilization. I hope they do. I really hope they do. Lim says, I got the S9 because I got a good deal on a return as new from Amazon and I gave up on Panasonic making a small micro four thirds camera with the new 25 megapixel sensor. Alright, I hope you enjoy the S9. I don't think it's a great camera, but then again, people like cameras for different reasons. Like one reason I will not be able to use the S9, you see the event that I was shooting earlier, the paying all the photos that I shared. If I used the S9, all the shots would have been horrible because of the banding of the LED lights. The S9 is unusable. I'm not even going to say it's a bad camera. It's unusable in that situation because of banding. Yeah. It doesn't have a physical shutter mechanism. Jepper says, side topic, sold the OM3 and Olympus 40 f1.4? I think it's 20 f1.4, right? To get the Fuji X100 Mark VI, and I absolutely miss the OM3. The JPEGs from OM3 was incredible comparably, and the handling of the OM3 is superior. Yeah, I think a lot of people keep saying that, oh, you know, the Fuji has the amazing film simulations, blah, blah, blah. The JPEGs are blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't see it. I look at all these images straight out of the Fuji cameras. I think they're all crap, really. And the film simulations are just really, really horrible. The colors are so inaccurate and so bad. The skin tones are so horrible. Like, I can see why you missed the OM3's JPEG, right? I've talked about this before in my latest video on Monday, why Olympus JPEG is awesome. Yeah, I'm not a film simulation fan, sorry. Anthony says, I think for travel, digital XA1 that's slightly smaller and thinner, that has built-in lens cover for the fixed 14 f2 will be very popular with travel photographers if it was made available. That's practically just a Ricoh GR series camera, right? It's already been made. So if OM system is going to make one to compete with the Ricoh GR, it better has some serious advantages over the Ricoh. I don't know what they can do in the camera, but it better be comparable or better than a Ricoh GR series, which is not an easy thing to accomplish, right? Not Deluxe says, I have been actively using the GS8 for 8 years. The current L10 doesn't attract me enough to change. Chendol or ice kacang? Chendol all the way, man. Chendol. Anthony says, I meant smaller and thinner than the XA1 film camera, which was made back in the day. Okay. Rebirth says, hi Robin, GS9 is not GS8's successor. GS9 is GS85 successor, which is also to GS7. GS8 is its own thing, hence weather sealed, much better instrument viewfinder and bigger body. Lumit's model name is so weird, yeah. But then again, I think the earlier discussion was, if they can make the GS8 weather sealed, why can't they make the L10 weather sealed? So it doesn't matter about which is what successor, whatever. That's not the point of the discussion, right? The point is the L10 for the price that is commanding, at least if it has weather sealing and 5-axis image stabilization, then I think people will not complain that it's too expensive, right? Yeah, that's the point of the discussion. Jay Taylor says, I just pulled out the old Olympus XA to play with film again. It is such a lovely camera. All right, Robin doesn't shoot film. Sorry about that. Jari says, hi all from Finland. Hey Jari, very nice to see you again. What's the temperature like in Finland? Grey Ghost Dog says, you just keep saying that Fuji S100 Mark VI is weather sealed. You need to acquire the AR adapter. So what? It is still weather sealed, right? There is an option to make it weather sealed. But Panasonic L10, can it be weather sealed? So let's say I put an adapter on the Fuji X100 Mark VI and shoot under the rain. No problem, right? Are you going to be able to shoot with the Panasonic L10 in the rain? I want to see you try. Yeah. Anthony says, hi Robin, would you be interested in such a camera if OM system brought out a micro four thirds with built-in stabilization with a small camera that's a clamshell style with a built-in lens cover? I don't really care about the design, really. I just want the camera to be small and functional. And if they're going to make one to compete with the GR series camera, it has to be better than the GR. And trust me, that's not something that is easily achievable. Yeah. Any compact camera has become very expensive and used here in Germany, including crappy digicams proximate cameras. All right. Chuck says, I miss sodium vapor lighting. The soft orange was more pleasant at night. Do you happen to have an old Olympus XA1, XA2? No. Robin doesn't shoot film. You should have known this by now, Anthony. You should have known. Robin only shoots digital. Film is dead on Robin Wong's channel. Marcus says, I'm going to KL this early June, almost 10 years since the last trip. Looking forward to some gritty street photography. Awesome. I think you can explore Pudu, Chowkit. These are my favorite areas. Or Jalan Masjid India, Masjid Jamek. And then you go towards Jalan Tukar Dharma area. Those are amazing places for street photography. Derek says, hey Robin, have you used Sony ZV-1? Any thoughts? 1-inch sensor, just not enough. Micro Four Thirds all the way. Yeah. Number 6 says, fun to see Robin gloating on the 1/10 handheld shot. It was actually more than 1/5 or half a second, really, not even 1/10. Right. Fajar says, is there any difference between L10 and LX100? It's bigger and it's more expensive. Linda says, all compact Micro Four Thirds body is getting more expensive too. Not here in Malaysia though, the prices are still quite the same or getting cheaper. As every month another one gets hyped on social media. Yeah, not really. Roger says, God, Robin, you are so funny on your stream. Nice to see podcasters having fun. Your photography amazes me every time I see them. You are truly a pro. Thank you so much, Roger. I really appreciate the kind words. Chuck says, a pen with the 1442 is far more economical than the LX100. You could take a small vacation with the money you will have left over. The thing is like, you know, the tail that the LX100 has this lens, right? It's a built-in lens. It's so versatile. It's 24 to 75. It's f1.7 to f2.8. It's brighter aperture than your kit lens. But honestly, I prefer to shoot with the kit lens, the 1442, f3.5. 3.5 to 5.6 or the Panasonic 12 to 32 f3.5 to 5.6. I get better shots. Yeah, no kidding. Jerry says, have to watch the stream later and watching ice hockey. No worries, no worries. If you guys have other more interesting, more important things to do or watch, go for it. All right, go for it. Yeah. The great Vanzini says, looks like great fun was had by all. Yeah, of course, of course. Let me see some members chat and then I'll go to the second part of the photo sharing. Gary says, I've had very good experience with MPB, although I did not buy the 60 macro lens from OM Digital Solutions. All right. Hey, Jason. Jason is a very, very old friend. Jason says, dropping by to say hello. New mic. It's the same mic, lah. Sounds clear and higher clarity. It's exactly the same mic I've been using for 2 years, Jason. 2 years. Don't hear a bit of wind noise. Yeah, because it's hot, lah, Jason. I have to turn on the fan or else I'll die. It's freaking hot. It's it's 30 degrees in my room now. 30 degrees. Yeah. Jason says, we should go check out some headphones together. Let's do that, Jason, whenever you're free. Wolfie says, so I went to Camera Price Busters, which is an aggregate website for prices on the UK market. Panasonic 25 1.7 is £150 on the store. Olympus 25 1.8 is £240 on the store and £300 on 4 other. All right. Well, it's just too bad. It's a lot cheaper here in Malaysia. Wolfie says, I just checked the used market in a few places. Panasonic 25 1.7 costs £90 to £110. Olympus 25, £160 to £200 used. Yeah, that sounds more like the ballpark of the prices here in Malaysia. Around 100 to 200 US dollars. Yeah. Chandel is much needed now. I know, right? Andrew, I know, right? You speak my language. Gregor says, used market not making any money for big guys, though I think they should view it as indicating pent-up demand. Yeah, that's true, that's true. Let's get to just a few more chat from non-members, and then we'll go to the photo sharing. Just a few more. Let's see if I miss any important chat at the top. Nope. Yeah. Fresh images, Robin. Thank you so much, Linda. I appreciate that. The great Vanzini says, I rarely use that wide angle. Makes me want to get super wide. Yeah. I guess it's not something that you will consciously want to use, but when you need it, you need it. In that situation, the space was so tight, and it's not a big building, and the walkway is so narrow. It's just a perfect spot for wide angle photography. Marky says, I noticed 100 plus viewers tonight. I think people really want to hear you berate the L10 camera. I don't hate Panasonic really. I just think it's chunky. It's really chunky. Such a chunky boy, right? Don't you guys agree? Linda says, ZV-1 has no PSM dial. I don't want to dive into menus for changing A and S modes, for example. Agreed. I also prefer to use the PSM dial. And Pio says, Robin, what is your opinion on custom firmware for all cameras? Is it a good thing or a bad thing to fix all the cameras that the manufacturer refuse to fix? You mean done by third party? I wouldn't trust them really. I'll prefer the firmware to be done by the actual manufacturer. I mean, what if you break the camera? All right, there might not be a way to repair it after that. Yeah. Hey, do you know says GoPro just put a Micro Four Thirds section cam. I explained the new releases of fisheye lens on the other Chinese Micro Four Thirds. Yeah. Then again, it's a Micro Four Thirds mount, but not a Micro Four Thirds sensor on the GoPro. It's still a 1-inch sensor. So yeah. Linda says I play online mahjong all the time. Yeah. Optics says the Lumix L10 may be chunky for point and shoot, but it's almost the same size as the Pan F. I think the Lumix is really okay. Let's see. But then again, the Pan F has 5-6 mesh stabilization, which the Panasonic doesn't have. Let's see the Pan F Olympus Pan F dimensions and Panasonic L10 dimensions. Okay, let's say that we do it by volume, right? 126 by 72 by 37. Panev's volume is 335664. Okay. Now, L10's volume, give me a bit of time. 126 by 7447. 126 by 74 times 47. Okay. So the L10 is 438. 438 divided by 335. How much bigger is it? 438 divided by 335. It's 31% larger. In terms of volume, if you want to compare by dimensions, they specify. I understand the Pan F doesn't have a lens. Once you add the lens, it's a different story. But purely just body to body, right? Because you say, hey, Pan F is the same size with the L10, right? That's what you say. It's almost the same size. But no, the L10 is about 30% larger than the Pan F by volume. Go and do your own calculations. Yep. I'm an engineer. Sorry, I work with numbers. I don't work with almost, right? I work with exact numbers. Linda says, I often think that Abby getting the Olympus 25 but I'm not sure if I need it, having the Panasonic 20. It all depends on how happy you are with the 20, right? If you're happy with the autofocus, if you're happy with the focal length, if you're happy with the image quality, then there's no need to get a 25. But if you're like me, I'm a 50 equivalent shooter. I don't work with 20 or 40. I think 50 is just nice for the way I frame things. And I wasn't happy with the rendering of the Panasonic 20 f1.7. And I think the autofocus is not good enough. Then the 25 is a massive upgrade. It helps you to get the shots that I really like. Okay, I'm going to put a pause here. I'm going to go to the second part of my sharing. It's a continuation from the earlier shots, right? So yeah, for those of you who have just joined, I actually did a job last weekend with the Olympus EM1 Mark II, and I used most of the shots were taken with the Panasonic 9 f1.7 and that excellent lens, which is now mounted on this EM1 Mark II. I also used the 15 1.7, 25 1.8, 45 1.8, and 75 1.8. So this is the second part of the sharing. That's the mahjong room. Right, people have not flooded in yet. That's earlier on in the day where things are cleaner and you can see the room clearly, right? And this is the game room where they have all kinds of different games. They have chess, they have clay, I think clay plasticine for you to play. And of course, you see the door on the right, that's the mahjong room. The black cloth on the left, that's the storeroom. That's where I get my free water. Free bottles of mineral water. That's a room with like a classroom setup with all the classic literature in one of the exhibits, which is very, very, very interesting. All right. I like to play this. I actually did this a lot, but I don't show you guys a lot because it's a wide angle lens. You can actually fit, like you have a wall. You can see the separation of two different rooms, two different things happening. On the right, there's people selling coffee and tea. On the left, there's actually a room with workshops happening. So you can see different views fitted within one frame happening at the same time. There's another trick that you can do with a wide angle lens. You can compose two different rooms with one frame, which is very, 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 very cool. You can try this trick next time. A room with exhibits of, I think it's a Rex KL exhibit. It's an old cinema. They're showing like the prints or the publications of the old news about the Rex KL in this particular room, which is very, very, very interesting. Yeah, and one of the tasks that was assigned to me was to shoot people interacting with the art exhibits. So I can't just shoot everything empty, right? I need to shoot people as well. What's the point of having an exhibit if there's no one to view it, right? Much like what I've always said about stage performance. If you have a singer or dance or theater, if there's something on the stage, the audience is as important as the performer. Without the audience, the performance is nothing, it's meaningless, right? So same with this art exhibit. And same with the game as well. If there's a game room, if there's something for people to play, if there's no people playing it, then what's the point? So one of my jobs was to shoot the people doing something at those different locations. And these are the people playing the clay on the table in the game room. So yeah, and it's the wide angle shot. You can see wide angle capturing everything. Why it's very, very important. Right. This is the chair again. The room with the chair is actually an art exhibit, but they also allow events to take place in this particular room. There's a writing workshop now happening here. They also had like some talks, and it's a very, very cool place. And of all the places, I think this room was one of the coldest in terms of air conditioning. Air conditioning wasn't working very well, and I was having really difficult time on these 2 days. So yeah. A group of migrant workers, and some are refugees. Some of them are from Myanmar, Bangladesh, Nepal, Philippines, and they were here to teach people how to dance, or they even sang some of the traditional songs, and yeah, it was a pretty cool experience. Yeah. This was, there's an interesting story about this. So this is a room where they put all these props for lion dance. So you can see the lion head there and all the things that they use for lion dance. And this room was not accessible. You can only see it from outside. And there's this very nice thing that they do. When they press a button from outside, the smoke will come out. So the smoke will like fill the room, right? It's just for dramatic effect. I think it's just dried ice. So I thought, okay, this is maybe less critical. So I didn't prioritize on this. I was shooting other things where they are more time sensitive, right? So the workshop is only happening for a certain period of time. I need to capture that, and there are other classes happening, and there are other performances happening. So I was running around just shooting everything else except this. So this was taken on the day 2. So on day 1, I think around 4 or 5 o'clock, I thought, okay, maybe it's time to check out this place. So I went to shoot this lion dance exhibit, right? And I pressed the button for the smoke to come out. To my horror, it ran out of smoke. I was like, what? I should have shot this earlier, but thankfully there was day 2 as that same exhibit. So on Sunday, I made sure that the first thing that I did before I do everything else was to shoot this room with the lion dance exhibit with the smoke before it ran out again on the second day. So anyway, just some fun story for you guys. And also it's nice that I have 2 days to shoot, because on the first day, I went home and I looked through all the images. I actually processed all images on the first day and submitted to my client immediately. It allows me to see the shots that I've missed, so I can do them on the second day. It allows me to really look at the shots that I've taken, and if I were to do the same things on the second day, on Sunday, I'll find ways to improve them or shoot them differently. So it's nice. It's nice to have this safety net on the second day, right? Like, I realized that I did not have a clean shot of this particular exhibit. The shots that I did on the first day, they were all taken with people inside the room, whether it's just 1 or 2 people or a group of people. I never had it just empty, right? So on the second day, I realized that, okay, I must get a shot, wide angle shot of this particular exhibit with no humans. And that's what I did on the second day. Yeah, this is just a different angle, standing on different locations. Try to give a variety of different shots so you can get different kind of deliverables for the client, which is very, very important. Right. This is a different room with a projection. This guy is going to do a stand-up comedy workshop. And I think this was probably not free. You need to register for it. You need to pay for it. Because if it was free, then it will be full. Like all the other classes and talks you've seen earlier, where it's full of humans, that's because it's free. Once you have to pay, then there's less people signing up. This is also one of the workshops that they were conducting. This is actually making belts. And only two people signed up for this particular workshop, which is very interesting. Right, and I was very lucky because when he light up that lighter and trying to burn that part of the belt, I was ready. When I saw it happen, I just nailed it. That's the amazing thing about this Olympus EM1 Mark II. How I judge how good a camera is when I see something, I point and I click, do I get it immediately? I nailed it. And that's why I love this camera so much. It has not let me down in the past 10 years. All these important moments, I see it immediately. I just grab the shot, got it, perfect. And that's the confidence that, you know, it's like, it's hard to move on from the EM1 Mark II. I don't have that confidence with the OM1, honestly. And I know if I shoot this with the OM1, I have chance that I will miss the shot. That's why I still use the EM1 Mark II as my main camera. And that's the standout comedy shot. I think only there were 3 people at the end. This were only 2 people here. The 2 people at the back, I think they were assistants. So yeah. And yeah, if it's a free talk, of course, everyone will flood in and try to like cram the space, right? Because it's free. So yeah. And of course, a close-up shot of the performer. I think this was 75 1.8, if I'm not wrong. 75 1.8. Yep. So some cool reflection shot. And one more, I think. Yep. This is, again, trying to show different locations outside. They were selling records. Inside, it's an art display, the room in yellow. That's an art exhibit. So this particular shot was obviously taken with a wide-angle shot, trying to show 2 things at once, right? So yeah, I'm going to put a pause on this photo sharing. I hope you guys have enjoyed the second series. I have one more series to share, but I want to get to the chat first. Yeah, I hope you guys really love the shots. Let me drink more water. Gotta stay hydrated. Stay hydrated. Okay. And let's get to the chat. Let's go to members first. Tomato says, good evening, Robin. And all love these shots earlier. The lighting with the chairs and mahjong table seems so moody and nostalgic since most lights are LED now. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Jeffrey says, don't forget to hit the like button, gang. Very useful discussion and insights from Robin. Thank you so much, Jeffrey. Really appreciate that. Gary says, yeah, I finally saw the black HGR1 last night on eBay. What the hell is that? What are you guys talking about? My goodness. Jeffrey says, my favorite compact I use is still TG5, TG6, EPL3, and EM5. All amazing, amazing cameras. But why do you need both TG5 and TG6 though? I thought they are very, very, very similar. I thought one would be good enough. Yeah. Okay, let me get to the non-members chat. Zero Dark Life says, hi Robin, shot original EM5 for many years. Loved them, recently tried the EM10 Mark IV. Wasn't impressed with touch to focus. Found it slow in low light. Contemplating OM3 and OM1 Mark II. Which would you pick? Interesting. You find the EM10 Mark IV slower than EM5. That's quite hard to believe. I would think that it's actually better than the EM5. Something must be wrong with the EM10 Mark IV. Between OM3 and OM1 Mark II, if I were to pick, EM1 Mark II Olympus all day long. Yeah. Well, that's just me, right? Yeah. Okay. Linda says here, the Olympus 25 is definitely more expensive than the Panasonic, both new and used. All right. But then again, the Panasonic has a flaw. If you guys are not aware, it has a focus shift issue, meaning that at f1.7 it's sharp. If you stop down to f2.8, f4, then it's out of focus. And then around like f8, f9 is sharp again. I can't work with that because I shoot a lot of close-up and I need to stop down to f2.8, f4 to get more depth of field. f1.7 on Micro Four Thirds is to get a lot of blur. Sometimes you don't want that blur, right? Let's say I'm shooting a bowl of noodles or a plate of rice or product, right? That's when I use the 25 f1.7, 1.8. I may use f4, f5.6, and I don't want my shots to be out of focus because of that, right? So Panasonic, no go for me. That's why I sold it off in the first place. I had the lens before. T-Fat says, my friend Fuji user never shoots RAW because film simulation. You can make film simulation in photo editor software. What the point? I don't care about film really. I never shot film. I don't see the point of simulating film. I rather have a proper true to life color rendering. So no film simulation for me. Big Mon says, the GS8 is way bigger than the GS9 and L10. Very good camera though. Really? Panasonic GS8 dimensions 133 78 63. Okay. Panasonic L10 dimensions. How much bigger is it? Okay, I'm gonna do my calculation again. 133 times 78 times 63. 133 times 78 times 63. So GS8 is 645. Yeah, it's bigger, right? 125, 74, 47. 35 times 74 times 47. 645, 469. Okay, let's try. 645 divided 469. Yeah, GS8 is about 30% larger. You are right. Interesting. This side to our screen says S9 is cheaper now. But then again, like, do you see all the shots that I've shown earlier? This side to our screen? The S9 will be completely useless there. Not just bad, yeah? Useless. You'll have all the bending because of the LED light. I can't use the S9 there. And in some situations, I need to use flash. S9 doesn't have flash. I mean, doesn't have a hot shoe. So completely useless for me. All right. Azolaun says, what is your favorite focal length? 50 millimeters. In terms of macro four thirds, it's 25. The Great Vanzini says, L10 at that price would drive me to a different OM camera body, perhaps an OM3 body for about the same price. It makes sense. I'll probably get the OM5 Mark II. Santik says, hey Robin, hope you are doing awesome. Hey Santik, how are you? There are so many events happening now. I hope you have been to some of them. I saw Andrew going to the Azus photo walk last week. He says he's going to go to another one of Azus walk next week or this coming Sunday. I hope you guys are communicating with each other. All right. Asifa says, hey Robin, I'm very new to photography. I have an old Canon 1000D I borrowed from my father-in-law, but watching your videos get me to buy my first EM10 Mark IV. Thank you so much. I'm glad that you are in Micro Four Thirds camp. I hope you enjoy the EM10 Mark IV. I think it's a fantastic camera. Santik says L10 is basically LX100 Mark III. Why not name it that way? I don't know. Maybe they just want to try to brand it differently, I guess. Moving away from the X line. Hey, did you know says people on eBay just put out a new 3D printed aluminum hand grips for the GM1. For anyone that has one, they're like 35 bucks. All right. That's cool. Yeah, Chong, yes, number 6. Panam looks much better. Well, looks is subjective, right? Let's not put it that way. Taufik says, may I know when the new OM1 Mark III will be released? Why don't you ask OM System or OM Digital Solutions? Why ask me? Yeah. Fresh images was supposed to mean great images. No worries. Not dissing the L10, but the size weight looks prefer the Panaf. Yeah, Panaf is like 30% smaller, right? Azalon says, great group photo, beautiful colors too. Thank you so much. Appreciate the kind words. Great Vanzini says, I like to use the Panaf for car shows. Great conversation starters. Yeah, it is a great camera to begin with, right? Let's get to the members chat. Jeffrey says, when I'm with grandkids, they borrow the TG5, TG6. Ah, that's why. Andrew says, Pak Peng looks like a Wonka movie. Well, you can walk into the building and shoot. I think they're fine, but don't wander too far up. The place can be quite scary. But I mean, it doesn't have these festival lights and everything, all the art shows. I think Pak Peng by itself is a nice place to shoot. Without the festival decorations, it is still a worthwhile place to work with your camera. Yeah. So yeah, do pay a visit if you are in Petaling Street area. Yeah. More fresh images. The room's images give funky mid-century vibes. I know, right? That's why the building has so much character. It's such a fun place to shoot. The Great Vanzini says, good shots there. Caught the spirit of the event. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah. Virend says, very nice information and discussion. Thanks for India. No worries. I share what I can. Lina says, I wonder if the EM5 Mark III is as quick and trusty as Robin's EM1 Mark II. It is. It is. I used the EM5 Mark III for the longest time. It's an amazing, amazing camera. PJA says, hi Robin, where can I get information about photography events? I guess you have to dig around. If you find them, you find them, right? For this particular show, the Peng Festival Arcade, that was a part of KL Festival. And this was the first year that they did KL Festival. So it's like, if you're not aware of it, I'm not surprised because it's the first time they're doing it, right? So yeah. Mika says, regarding the EM1 Mark III, I asked OM last week at their booth at the biggest week at American Birding. They said not to expect anything until next year. All right, at least they're being honest. Yeah. Edward Martin says, interchangeable lens L10 would get my attention. Hopefully they'll release a GX8, GX9 successor. Marky Tail says, I have similar experience. X100 is quite slow to autofocus and zoom. I thought the GM1 was faster. GM1 is way faster, definitely. Yeah. Okay, why can't I scroll? Okay. Moy Arena says, if you can put out the lens on the L10, the dimensions are so similar to the Pan F, then with the equivalent lens, the 12 to 40, the Pan F, it will be bigger. But the 12 to 40 is an excellent lens though. No one questioned the Olympus 1240. It is one of the best zoom lenses ever. However, this 24 to 75 equivalent lens for the X100 is a crappy lens. It's not sharp. It has very lousy contrast, very slow autofocus. My goodness, you miss a lot of shots with this lens. And images are just so flat and uninteresting. I can't see how people can work with this lens. I'd rather use a kit lens, not the 12 to 40, a kit lens like the 12 to 32 Panasonic or the 14 to 42 kit lens from Olympus. This lens is good enough reason not to get the L10. That is a really, really bad lens. Yeah, all right, I'm going to put a pause to the chat here. I actually call it the chat. I'm surprised. Let me drink more water and let's share the last set of images. There's some more images to go. All right. Here we go. Just a few more. This is when I talk about me doing the things that I want to do instead of shooting shots for the event. Well, it's a full day event anyway. We do have a little bit of downtime. So yeah, I use this time to do some street photography style kind of shots. Not really for the event, but for myself, you know. And these are shots that I really like. I think it's just like maybe 1/10, 1/5 of a second kind of shot. Yep. And this was a sort of like a talk or sharing storytelling session in a group. So this shot was taken with the 45 1.8, which is my favorite lens. I use this lens so much for my event photography. It's my bread and butter lens. Like if you're doing events, portraits, you shoot people, you must always use this lens, or you must have this lens. Yeah. And this is like wide angle shot with the 9 f1.7 for this particular setting, right? So you can see why you need to use different focal lengths, and I can change lens quickly because the lenses for Macro Four Thirds are so tiny. I was hiding in this corner so I can fit everything with the 9 1.7, and of course I need to zoom into the speaker, give her the attention, and make sure that she's clearing my shots, right? So yeah, and this is 25 1. I think 25 1.8. Yeah, this is 25 1.8. Just I was waiting for people to enter this room, waiting for the longest time. I keep walking by and there's no one in the room. So when someone is in the room, I was like, yes, finally I can get some shots. More mahjong shots. I think this is getting repetitive already. Some close-up shots of the chess when no one is playing. I actually have some shots of people playing with the chess, but I don't know. I just prefer this clean shot with no people. Just the chess pieces, right? The glass chess pieces, which is pretty interesting. With the weird yellow-green light. Yeah. People playing with the clay, right? Trying to create some weird sculptures, right? Yeah, that's the guy. So, you know, like, you can play around with the detail close-up shots and shots of the guy doing the thing, right? And yeah, and this is just people chilling. So actually the lady in front in black was actually lying down. As I walked closer, it's not because of me. She just came up. I was like, oh, come on, lady, please lie back down. And she never did. So her lying down would have been a really, really cool shot. Yeah. So yeah, and you can see the lady lying down. I said earlier, with the two guys at the back, and the guys playing with the clay in front. So trying to get a wide angle shot to get these different layers, so you can get like people in the front playing with the clay, and people at the back just chilling on the floor, right? Another wide-angle shot with a different art installation. This room has a different story to tell. I just need people in the room interacting with the art pieces. Right, that's one of the tasks that was given to me. And this is a good example to show you how well the Panasonic 9 f1.7 handles backlit. You can see those two bright spots of light shining to me directly. And this was shot at f1.7. It handles flare, ghosting, shooting directly into the light very, very well. And the image still has very good contrast. It doesn't have haze or anything. Still looks very, very, very sharp. That's why I really love the Panasonic 9 f1.7 lens. Fantastic lens to work with. Right, finally, someone was sleeping on the bed. If you have followed me on my earlier discussion, I was waiting for people to go in. It became very weird because me and the videographer, we were encouraging people to go in and sleep on the bed. And they were looking at us one kind of like, why this photographer and videographer asking us to sleep on the bed? It's so weird. And finally, someone actually slept on it. I can get like some shots. Yeah. And just some creative shots. So I shared this already earlier. So you can shoot different rooms with just one lens, right, separated by the wall. You can see the mahjong room in the red, and you can see the bright room in the white, people playing a different game. That's a Chinese chess, if I remember correctly. And the escalators wait for someone to go down. And because the escalator was a lot darker, so the lady was actually backlit and is in shadow. It's a silhouette, right? So yeah, so you have the different layers of things. Two things happening in the background: the Chinese chess on the left, mahjong on the right, and the lady going down the escalator in front. Which I thought like all these layers can combine together into a very, very interesting shot. So yeah, finally a guy sleeping on the bed and a lady talking to him. Yeah, and a DJ playing some music for the people, trying to create some hype and making some noise in the building, right? And this lady was actually playing a traditional instrument. I forgot what it's called. She's from Borneo, northern Borneo, Sabah. And she said not many places make these instruments anymore. I think there's a variation of this instrument in Japan. There's some steel parts made inside that instrument, which is very, very, very cool, right? And again, this guy was there yesterday or the day before, and on Sunday he's also doing the same session, telling stories, right? Telling stories, reading from the book. And the karaoke room finally is full of people. I was waiting for people to go in, and finally there's an event, Kento Pop event happening inside there. And this is the videographer of the day. His name is Joshua, very nice guy, and he shoots with Micro Four Thirds as well. And that is the GH7 Panasonic. So the day was fully a Micro Four Thirds day. Me being the photographer and Joshua being the videographer. Both of us running around, run and gun with our Micro Four Thirds equipment. And one of the things I always say, capture expression, laughter, smile, things that, bursts of energy or expression. Try to capture that. And that's the thing I like about this EMR Mark II, right? See it, click, I get it. No second guessing. There's something that the OM1 cannot do. Trust me, it cannot do. I will miss these shots. This is the confidence that I have with the EMO Mark II that I don't have with the OM1. That's the last shot of the day. Ending with the high energy of bursts of laughter. I hope you guys enjoy the sharing. All right, let's go to the last few chats. And yeah, and we'll close the session for tonight. Gregor says the cat does not look well. Andrew says, I love the split shots, especially the two rooms. How do you pronounce that? Juxtapose. Juxtapose, right? Juxtaposing, if I'm not mistaken. Juxtaposing, not juxtaposing. It's juxtaposing. Yeah. Right, my tongues are not working already. It's getting too late. Linda says, very cool. I don't think I noticed you were using flash. Mostly for group shots, people shots, nicer portraits. If I want to get rid of, you see there's a lot of like weird color casts. If I don't want the color cast on the human skin, if I want the human colors, the skin color to look nice and natural, that's when I use flash. Yeah. Thanks, the great Vanzini. I appreciate that. I like the escalator shot. I like that too. Edward says, honestly, in a camera critique, Robin, you're the best. Nobody is commenting on the lens being garbage. Thanks for the honesty. No worries, no worries. Like You don't have to believe me, right? You can look at the sample images. There's so many online now. Yeah, Linda says, great, now I want the EM5 Mark III again. Juxtaposing. Fingers falling asleep. Yeah, that's why when I was reading the word, right, doesn't feel right. Juxtaposing sounds right, right? Anyway, that's it for tonight. I hope you guys have enjoyed the sharing. It is already past midnight here in Malaysia. Yeah, besides the photo sharing, we have also talked a lot about the new chonky Panasonic L10. I personally think it's too chunky. I think a lot of you agree with that as well. I don't think it's overpriced, but I wish that it has more features for the price that it's selling. I wish it has 5-6 mesh stabilization. I wish that it's weather sealed. And I wish that the lens is a little bit better. But hey, so many wishes, right? I'm not the one making cameras, as if I know how to make a camera. But yeah, it is what it is. I hope Panasonic continues to make Macro Four Thirds products. I hope that they release GX8, GX9 successor, and I hope that they also will launch like a GM5 series camera Mark II, right? If that's possible. That's it for tonight. I hope you guys have enjoyed the session as much as I do, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Please go out and take more photographs. Bye-bye.